All right, let's jump right in. We've all been there, haven't we? Either making a big promise or being on the receiving end of one. You know, that big, exciting pitch, that bold declaration. But what actually happens after the words have been said? Today, we're going to dig into that huge gap between saying you'll do something and actually doing it.
So let's kick things off with a pretty fundamental question, one that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. When does a promise stop being just a nice idea and become something real, something you can actually touch and feel? Just think about that for a second. The answer? Well, it's everything. It's what separates a cool idea from actual real-world impact.
This one sentence, man, it's pretty much the foundation for everything we're talking about today. It's such a powerful idea because it splits any big project, any goal, into two totally different parts. First, the art of convincing someone, and second, the real challenge of following through. It sounds simple, but trust me, the implications are absolutely massive. Okay, so let's tackle that first phase, the world of words. You can think of this like an architect's blueprint or that super exciting kickoff meeting for a new project. It's that moment where absolutely anything feels possible, you know? It's all blue sky. So what makes this convince phase so darn appealing? Well, it's all about vision and potential. Picture a startup founder pitching some amazing new app. In that room, it is all pure excitement. And the key thing here, it's a low friction zone. You're just using words. There are no bugs to fix yet, no unexpected costs to deal with. It's all potential.
And that's really what it all boils down to. The act of convincing someone is just telling the story of a possible future. It's aspirational, it's neat and tidy, and it exists completely in your imagination. But, and this is a big but, a story is not the same thing as the event itself.
Which of course brings us to the second and much harder part of the journey, the arena of action. If the promise was the clean blueprint, this is the muddy, noisy, complicated construction site. This is where the real work happens. This is the real test.
And look at this comparison. It lays out the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got the blueprint. It's all vision, words, potential, very low friction. But on the right, you have the actual building. That's about reality, actions, and proof. And that, my friends, is a world of high friction. It's a completely different ballgame.
So that leads us to the most important question of all, why is delivery the real test? I mean, why is it so much harder to actually build the house than it is to just describe it? The answer is simple. Reality is messy. Unlike our words, reality is totally unpredictable, and it really doesn't compromise.
And this is where that friction really starts to grind. You run into unforeseen obstacles. That supplier who guaranteed a delivery suddenly flakes out. Or a key piece of your software has a bug nobody could have predicted. Then there are dwindling resources. That project budget that seemed massive at the start, yeah, it's starting to feel pretty tight. And maybe the hardest part of all, just sustaining momentum when that initial excitement wears off and it all just becomes a daily grind.
So how do we connect these two very different worlds? How do we make sure that the beautiful blueprint actually becomes a solid building? Well, this is where the most valuable currency in the world comes into play: integrity. Integrity is the bridge that connects the promise to the performance. Seriously, just think about it. Words are easy. They're cheap. They don't cost anything to produce. And with them, we can paint any beautiful picture we want without any pushback from reality. But they are just the start of the story, never the end.
You see, integrity isn't just some passive virtue, some nice-to-have quality. It's an active force. It's the internal engine inside you that says, nope, we're going to see this through. It's what compels you to honor your words with action, especially when things get tough. It's the steel support beam holding up that bridge between what you say and what you do.
And this chart, wow, it really puts that feeling into numbers. Your words, that big promise, they might get you in the door. They'll build maybe 30% of the trust you need. But it's your actions, your consistent, reliable delivery, that's what builds the rest and makes that trust rock solid. At the end of the day, trust isn't built on promises. It's forged in proof.
And that brings us right back to the core idea, boiled down to its simplest form. The pitch? That's just the rehearsal. The delivery? That's the main performance. The real test of your character, of your business, of your entire project is never what you say you're going to do. It's always about what you actually get done.
Because in the end, every single promise we make is a blueprint for our reputation. So the question isn't just about what you're promising people. The real question is, what are you actively, tangibly building right now? Because that's what will truly define you.